let's talk about briefly that why you had to think of a trilogy.
Right. So, briefly again, I go back to the two research questions I mentioned, right? What is the indigenous Bharatiya economic model? What is the role of culture, norms, and narratives in today's Bharatiya economy? So, when I answered the first question, I couldn't find answers, to be honest,
Mm.
because I was sort of stuck in the sense either we look at the just pre-independent phase and say that that is the Bharatiya model, but the evidence is completely contrary when you look at all these thousands of years. So that's when I chanced upon the Arthashastra. And there I derived this concept called Dharmic Capitalism. So the idea of dharma plays a very important role in in being a foundation for economic policy for thousands of years. The Arthashastra also, postulates that beyond the state and the market. So, for example, if you, in very simple terms, you have the state, which is basically the government putting in money into the economy or taxing you, for example, or giving you incentives to say buy things or whatever. The government does the various initiatives to move the economic machine.
Yeah.
Similarly, you have the market where people compete in the marketplace, and and companies compete, they grow and things like that, right? So Kautilya's Arthashastra talks about the idea of dharma beyond the state of the market. He says dharma is foundational to both. So, in a very simple example, right?
Let
So,
us first understand. Sorry, Shriram.
yeah,
I think you know what? We will have to. You'll have to come like 100 kilometers behind, and as an
okay,
audience representative of my audience, I'll have to push myself like 50 kilometers ahead, somewhere to match up with what we are trying
sure,
to understand. Economics is not an easy subject for people. I would
sure,
want us to first, because you are with us, um, uh, let us understand in your language and with your lens, dharma. You please decode that for me. Then you
right.
please decode economics for me. And then you please decode capitalism for me. Once we have these definitions alive, then I think it'll make sense for us to then move on to understanding that how Kautilyanomics or Dharmanomics is going to make that difference.
Great. So, let's start with dharma, right?
Yeah.
As you know, it's a very multidimensional word. But for the sake of economic policy in this narrow prism, I define it through the prism of ethics, responsibilities, and harmony. Harmony, both in terms of communal harmony, societal harmony, as well as harmony with the rest of the world.
Right.
So, these are three definitions which I give for Dharma in my works. And these form a base. For example, ethics map onto clean institutions, clean governance,
Yeah.
ethical institutions, and also ethics based business models, right? Businesses having ethical constructs, right, which drives economic activity. And then within harmony, I talk about societal harmony, and I talk about also harmony with the rest of the world in terms of engaging with the rest of the world. And within responsibilities, I talk about familial responsibilities, societal responsibilities, environmental responsibilities. So each of these, so we spoke about dharma, we spoke about the three definitions, and then these things which map to it. These lead to three major outcomes. First is from the ethics bucket. I talk about what I call a strong but non-intrusive state, which means a government which is very strong, which means it implements rule of law and order. You commit a crime, you get the punishment.
Mm.
You do things cleanly. You have no problems. But it doesn't micromanage you. So, for example, say Poonam and myself, we are trading a couple of products, perfumes or whatever it is. They're not going to tell us the quantity of perfumes. They're not going to tell us the how much variety of perfumes we can trade and things like that. But they'll give you an overarching regulatory framework,
Right.
which one needs to stick to. So that is the first part of the outcome, right, in Dharmic capitalism. The second part is what I call wealth creation via global outlook, which means You promote wealth creators, businesses and entrepreneurs and entities, and you engage with the rest of the world, which means trade, which means have maritime trade, land wise trade, encourage people from outside to come and trade within Bharat, and then have sort of entities across the world in a
Yeah.
sense. So this is the second bucket. And the third bucket is what called sustainable growth and welfare, which is again a derivative of responsibilities. So responsibilities in terms of sustainability of the environment. The argument is you have environmental, societal, and familial responsibilities. All of them enhance sustainability. And then there is welfare again, which is protecting the poor, providing incentives to them, ensuring that their basic needs are taken care of, right? So this is what I sort of define as dharmic capitalism.